take a week off and I forget how to do the show. What can I tell you? To those of you who are here, good morning. To those of you who celebrate that, I actually posted yesterday that the show would be delayed till Tuesday, but I don't think anybody saw that post. Not one person. And that's all right. And then this morning I saw that nobody was here at 10:30. And I think I set up the show on the wrong stream. So it's like, go home, Jonathan, you're drunk. But I'm already home. Don't even mess with me, Tyler. This is Monday for your information, because now I'm like second guessing myself. It's been a long week. I had to work overnight and out of sorts and overworked. All the usual complaints that you're not going to hear again today. Just copy and paste everything you've heard from me say before. Say again. But I'll do the show because Tyler's here and Foxy's here. And I saw Chase and Felony Melanie, and Elijah stopped by to say that you can't watch. The thing is, Elijah, if you watch this later, if you just say, I'm here and I'll watch the whole thing, that makes me feel better than if you just say, like, well, I'm not watching. Drew's here, which just makes me feel nervous. Probably try to keep things short today since I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. But I do have some memes for you. There was something I wanted to talk about right at the top of the show, but you know what? I don't remember what it is. We've got a brand new episode of Comm Center tonight. Make sure you watch Comm Center tonight. I think it's a good episode. I'm only here to judge, he says. Guys, Drew made me get a tattoo when I was in Florida last year that says only Drew can judge me. Cried the whole time, and not from the pain. Just from the unending trauma. I don't remember what I was going to talk about. Something good. You guys having a good summer? Summer's kind of winding down here. As we round the corner from August, the temperature usually really crashes here, and it's really come down the last couple of days. It's been like high as 75. So it's like Drew's winter here. My tattoo is bright pink. Well, that's what they had the most ink of, you know. They didn't have a lot of green left. They ran out of that. Let's just do the memes. That way I don't have to talk very much. Other people will watch the show later and they'll just want that. So let's go ahead. Perfect meme to start with Drew watching. If you wear glasses, we expect a lot from you academically. Boy Wonder says, I failed an eye test where the answers are right in front of me. You're misplacing your expectations. My sister used to wear glasses back in the 90s. My mom, I'm sure we didn't have good vision insurance. There's just no way that we did. My dad was employed by the Department of Defense. And you'd think that would mean it would be good, but it's not. Or they hated my sister and they got her the ugliest pair of glasses because it was 90, 92, 93. And they got her a pair of glasses that would have been ugly for the 70s. And my sister was so, I guess you could call her vain, but I guess when you're only 10, maybe you're just self-conscious. She would constantly lose them and break them because they made her so ugly. And she just didn't care if that meant she could never see the board. And she never recovered. That's how all my stories should end. It should always classic setup, tragic situation or bad situation. And instead of saying how that person, evolved and grew up and overcame the challenges, just nope, they never recovered from the thing that took them down when they were 10. You never know when you're going to find that thing when you're 10 years old that's going to destroy your life. It's stupid when girls say they can't find a guy, yet they ignore me. It's like saying you're hungry when there's a hot dog on the ground outside. Hello? I'm right down here. This one spoke to me. So there's an article, if you look at the bottom first, testosterone eliminates strategic pro-social behavior through impacting choice consistency in healthy males. So testosterone makes males less social because it impacts their ability to make consistent choices, maybe. So in other words, they're not doing what they're told. High testosterone makes men do what they believe is right rather than what the others believe is right. Ring true to you? Rings true to me. I'm encountering kind of a lot of soy boys lately, and I never considered myself, what that congressman would call an alpha male. I never considered myself much of a tough guy, but the goalpost is moving, man. It's moving to where I am one of the toughest men that I know. I meet men that are younger than me, and it makes me sad. 50 years ago, if you wanted to see a picture of a raccoon, you either had to already have it or drive to the library. Raccoon in a funny hat, forget about it. A lot of people have probably seen that meme in the last couple days. So it seems like memes they have a lifespan. And it's caterpillarific. They're born and they live and they die, sometimes in short order. And I think that meme just had a 3-day crest there. So sorry that you had to see that here. But I thought it made an excellent point. I remember I've talked about this before. Do you guys remember just not knowing shit? Do you remember when you forgot the name of a guy or a thing or a fact and you knew it and then you forgot it and then you could just never know it again? Or you wondered something and you just never do. And then 10 years later, you found out and it was so satisfying because that quest for knowledge was earned. Right now it's like we want to know something, Google it, ask Chat GBT. We go back to our roots, to Wikipedia. It's not as satisfying. And you don't remember because information and knowledge and trivia is so cheap that it's not valuable anymore. It's not a commodity to know something because it's like you don't have to know how to learn when you can just look up anything at any time. It's the soy boying of our minds. I blame Drew for this. Millennials having a childhood without social media feels like we all got in the last chopper out of Nam. More same topic. Thank God. Social media wasn't coming out until I was in college. Facebook came out right around the time that I was in college, which Facebook at that time was invented for people who were in college. So, not much damage done. Excuse my yawning. But man, I would have hated to go to school at a time where the socializing of school just never ended. Thank God, 2:00 would come when I was in high school and everybody went their own separate ways. Would go back to being alone, which at the time I viewed as a bad thing, but now I realized was a blessing. Because I had fewer opportunities to make embarrassing memories that would still haunt me to this day. Because yes, even though I'm almost 41, I still have memories from my childhood and high school of me interacting with people in cringy and terrible ways that I can never get over. And someone was telling me recently, this was this is now a cringy memory of a memory. So it's hits me double hard. But it had to have been 2017. It had to have been 7 years ago. I went home and I drove past my old elementary school and I just did a loop through the parking lot just because I wanted to see the building up close. And I had a female with me, which helped me not be a creepy dude scoping out kids at a school. But I saw my old school librarian walking past, and she'd been my librarian in the mid-90s. And I said, "Do you remember me?" And of course she does it because I was this grown-ass man with a beard, totally out of context. And then I told her who I was, and she said, "Oh, yeah, you're the one who got barbecue sauce on Frank Peretti's door in the dragon's throat." That's what you remember about me? That ruined one of your books? And so it just goes to prove that all your anxieties are true, that the things that you think people will forget about you and move on, No, they remember forever. Everything that when you fall asleep and you remember something from third grade, and then you soothe yourself by saying, "I'm not the one that remembers this. I'm not the one that cares." People don't forget. They're still upset about it just like you are. In fact, other people probably go to sleep thinking about what a wank you are. They don't think about their own lives or their own embarrassments. They think about you and how awful you've been. And they carry that with them for all time. And they just wait for the day that you're going to come back across their path so that they can remind you of the cringy or stupid thing that you did. Thank God I moved away from that whole state, because otherwise this would be happening to me on a regular basis. Depressing. Don't be hard on yourself for not finding love. Maybe your soulmate is already dead. I'm sorry. Ever think it's reasonable that you didn't find your soulmate, that perfect person, that perfect other, that perfect opposite to you? Well, yeah, there's 8.06 billion people alive, but how many people were alive in the past? And if it really is based on something so intangible as the soul, you're joking yourself if you think that that person is ever going to be encountered by you. Never going to happen. You're going to tell me that you live wherever you live, whether it's that one town in Canada where Tyler lives, or Bakersfield, California, or Tampa, Florida. You think you're going to encounter the person that is right for you? Are you really so basic? Are you really so generic that you just think that you're going to encounter someone who's right for you? Are you one of 4 types of people? Are you really just in the upper 100th percentile? Just anything's fine? If you're special and you're unique and you want someone to love you and understand you, it's never going to happen. If you're okay with marrying for land or money or some other tangible reason, yeah, you could probably make it happen. If you want to marry for strategic reasons, double income on a house, yeah, you can do that. If you want to marry because you don't want to die alone, you could probably find someone who want to do that. That's very basic. But if you want someone to know you and to love you for who you are, guess what, pal? The odds are against it. Not only are they not on this earth, never to be encountered by you, regardless of how many different applications you use, looking for soulmates on Tinder, the chances are that they're dead. And suppose they're not dead. Suppose you beat the odds. They're not dead. Congratulations. But they're 40 years older than you. Fuck. You have nothing in common. Yeah, your souls match, but your bodies don't. Your minds don't match. Yeah, this person is the only one capable of really getting you, but they don't want to because they're fucking 60 years old. And they already married for strategic reasons to someone else. They already gave up on ever finding you. They married for land. They married for dual income. They married for the security of marriage itself. And fuck you. You get to die alone. All right. Let's check out these comments. Drew painted the girls' room, or just painted the girls' room, and got them new desks. He used purple. Lucky John had a dad. Did I have a dad? Biologically, yes. Drew says, I'll leave so you can feel at ease. Thanks, Drew. It's always better to do a show that has to be done in front of actual people. And by the way, the show was supposed to start almost an hour ago and no one was here because I fucked it up. I can't guarantee I won't be watching, though. Hello, John. Hello, Felony Melanie. Gary, you have to be here by law. Required to be here by law. Tyler says, when I went for my morning coffee, the barista asked me if I was approachable. Guess had my grumpy face on. Got me to laugh. The barista asked if I was approachable. Did she say to you, are you approachable? Because that would be hilarious. Like if you saw someone that looked grumpy and you said, excuse me, are you approachable? Are you approachable, Tyler? That's probably going to be something that sticks to you around here. Um, most people cross the street when they see me. Lauren, good morning. It's nice to see you here. Did anyone eat a commie hole this morning? Did we decide what that was? That sounds really bad when you don't like remind everyone what you're talking about. Guys, a commie hole is the toast that has the egg in it. I almost didn't remember at first either. So I was like, wow, inappropriate. I did not have one. I had a microwave burrito because I thought the show was going to start a half hour ago, and I was like in a hurry for no reason. My soulmate is already dead. Hey, don't hate on my city. I didn't hate on it. I'm just saying my soulmate's not in Bakersfield, are they? You know anybody there in Bakersfield, Foxy, that seems like my soulmate? Probably not, right? I found the right crazy I can deal with. Sounds like a compromise. Sounds like not your soulmate. Sounds like something you can deal with. I found Brian as a cashier here. He will be married for 12 years in October. Oh, we'll be married. I thought you said he will be married. I can't imagine being with anyone else. Well, maybe you have limited imaginations because is Brian your soulmate? You sure you can't? Are you sure you just don't want to imagine? What if there was someone that got you even better than Brian? Think about all the times you've been frustrated with Brian, or you've had to explain yourself to Brian, or worst of all, you thought explaining to yourself to Brian was pointless, or you didn't even want to bother. What if there was someone you didn't have to explain yourself to because they just got it? Well, that person's out there, buried in a field somewhere. Soulmate is Hallmark propaganda to get you to watch Lifetime. Yeah, okay, but I'm talking about it and I'm not watching Hallmark or Lifetime or whatever. You know, just wondering where that person is that gets me. Thank God I don't have cable, Lauren. But then Lifetime is all about how that soulmate is trying to unalive you. See, I haven't watched that in a long time. Need a hug, John. Not from you, from my dead soulmate. That's who I need a hug from. By the way, here's the other problem with soulmates. I'm pretty sure that souls are sexless. So it's like your soulmate could be a bro. Like my soulmate could be a man. But I don't want that. I don't want to hang out with some dude. Regardless of that meme a couple weeks ago where men prefer the company of other men, I, on the other hand, prefer the company of hot ladies. All this deep talk about soulmates, and then I'm just like boats and hoes. That's what I want. Do you like Hicks and country music and low IQ? Are you asking me? We've said we're soulmates. Well, yeah, you said it out loud. Doesn't mean it's true. Anyway, we've got kids. I don't want to bring anyone near them because they'd probably be buried in a hole. All right. Anyway, good for you, Foxy. You think that you found it. Good for you. You didn't, though. Just tell her life's a sham. Oh, geez, I forgot my driver's license. I'm sorry, sir. I can't let you purchase alcohol without age verification. Will you accept a full recitation of the DuckTales theme? From memory? Life is like a hurricane in Duckburg. Sorry for singing, but I just want my booze. Girls like it when you go up to them and say, beautiful woman alert. Maybe this is why I haven't found my soulmate. I should go up to a beautiful woman, and to test the waters to see if she's my soulmate, I should go, beautiful woman alert. Because my soulmate would get why that's funny, right? They wouldn't be annoyed or put off by that. This is actually a great idea. Because any woman who's not my soulmate is just going to find that bizarre and off-putting and awkward. But the woman who gets me is just going to laugh. And she's going to say, better take cover, or something, some sort of pithy reply. Or handsome man alert. I don't know. I don't even know if there is a handsome man alert. I just, would like to hear that. So this is the test. This is what I'm going to use. By the way, I'm all over the place with memes because of the way the system works now. I decided to take a nude photo, no makeup, no filters, no body, no organs, just pure energy. Here in a creepy hotel room, you have a class 4 full torso free floating vaporous apparition. Real scary shit. The purple kind of makes it seem less scary, but as I've said many times on this show before, there's no such thing as a benevolent spirit. They only trick you into thinking that they're benevolent. So just be cautious. Again, any contact with the transmundane is bad contact. And you should avoid all paranormal phenomenon. It is not for you to be understood. Back to that one. Yep, we know that already. Picking at my therapist notepad and it just says loser 100 times. I desperately want to know what my therapist notes are because the things that she says to me when we're kind of nutshelling, we're kind of wrapping things up. There's a lot of things she does not get about me. Like she says that I use humor a lot, and she thinks that I use humor to cope with situations. And I don't know how to tell her that I just think I'm hilarious. Like, it's like I'm fine. I can deal with my emotions. I could cry, I can talk, I can tell you how I feel, but I also just think I'm funny. Like, why is it mutually exclusive? Why is it that if you're in a therapist's office and you're doing your comedy routine, that it's some kind of deflection away from the truth? I can embrace the truth. Here's the truth you fail to embrace. I'm hilarious. I'm hilarious, Kim. All right. Want to have a fire or something? I'll let you nap on me. Set me on fire. Death is the final sleep. Your kinks are kind of getting out of hand, babe. I remember in high school there was a girl that was she and I were flirting a little bit, and I've probably told this story before. You guys have heard most of my stories. We're near the end of this podcast, like as a series. But then we were exchanging notes as we did back then, before social media, before texting. We just would write notes to each other in class and then hand them off between classes. She was real depressing, real dark, it was real off-putting, and that's when I realized that there was something wrong with me. Let's draft everyone who has their phone on military time, since you're all so eager. This is me. I have my phone on military time. And I think it's because at work, we more or less use military time. And so I just sort of integrated that into my life. But I even did that when I was at the penitentiary. And it's because I had to write, it was just easier to write all my reports in military time. So I don't know. I just adopted it because it made sense. Like, why would you have a 12-hour clock? Like, there's 24 hours in a day. So that's what I've been going by. If you think about it, the 24-hour clock just makes the most sense. 12's the middle of the day, right? Then why does it go back to 1? And I know why. Because it's 1 post-meridian. It's 1 after the meridian. It's 1 afternoon. It seems like such a European model. It's 13 o'clock. It's hour 13 of the day. Anybody with me in the whole 24-hour clock thing? Or is everyone against me as per usual? Normally, people are just against me. They just go against me because it just seems like the cool thing to do. Not only that, but I've noticed that a lot of people like to team up against me, not only in the chats, but in real life. Somebody just left the show because I was yelling about the clock. All right. Foxy is still talking about how she married the love of her life in Darkwing Duck. Well, you guys enjoy your little chat. Not interested. That was mean. I'm just getting back to memes. Girls like it when you say beautiful woman alert. That's what I'm going to do. Got that. at the doctor's office booing all the names being called that aren't mine. I could actually see myself doing that. Steve. Boo. Boo, Steve. The guy's like clearly a cancer patient. He's clearly on his last leg. Doesn't need this shit from me. Doing it anyway. The bowling ball actually hangs out with the pins after work. There isn't a beef there. That's a commonly misunderstood thing that bowling balls and pins have a long-standing rivalry. But you need to know that when the alley closes and human beings are no longer there to set them against one another, they have far more in common than they do that divides them. And there are no grudges. Pointless meme. If you increase your font size by 1 point every time you respond to someone in an email, eventually they'll stop emailing you. There was a show that I put out on this podcast a couple weeks ago. By the way, we're almost done, thank God. But I was mentioning my strategy for handling emails at work because I don't like answering emails, but as I so often do, I got kind of sucked into this stream of thought tangent thing that took me in a totally opposite direction. And I never came back to say how I handled emails. And even though all of you are such dedicated listeners, not one person bothered to say, hey, what's your scheme for dealing with emails? I didn't have any caffeine today. So at my work email on Outlook, there's a button you can push that reports an email as a phishing attempt, like an attempt to gain access to confidential information because someone who will impersonate someone you know within the organization, a boss or HR person or someone from another department, they attempt to impersonate them and get you to click on this link like, hey, could you check out my calendar to see like if this is correct, or something like that. Or like, hey, you need to update your benefits information. Can you click this link? And then by clicking that link, you open the door to all the bad guys. And I never wanted email. In fact, when I started being an 911 dispatcher, we didn't even have email because we don't actually need it for any reason. Everyone needs us to have email, right? They need to be able to email us. They need one more way of getting through to us because the teletype, the phone, and the radio is not enough, and the fax machine is not enough. So they also have to have email, right? So they gave us email so that other people could email us because I have no need to email anyone ever. In fact, every email I send out, every single one is pointless. Because when I'm emailing the jail, they could just look at our combined system that gives them all the information I'm emailing them. When I'm emailing the state's attorney, well, frankly, that's work they should be doing themselves. And so there's really no reason for me to have email. If I could do one thing, I would turn off my email. But what I do is whenever I get an email from anybody, I always report it as phishing. This has two effects. Number one, it gets me off the hook. Do you see what I did there? It gets me off the hook for being responsible for whatever information is in that email. Because I'm sorry, I thought that was a phishing scam. I'm very adroit at protecting our organization. I'm not going to let anything happen to our precious information. I'm not going to let the Chinese get our criminal records. I'm not going to be the one that does it. Okay. And then they'll be like, why did you spam an email? I'm like, I thought it was a phishing scam. But it also sends a report to IT, who I currently have a beef with, and it forces them to review all my email. So they'll email me back saying, hey, thanks for the phishing alert. We checked out your email and it's fine. And at that point, I no longer care. So I essentially forward all my email to IT and have them review it for safety reasons. And what do? They don't run it through a malware scanner. They just look at it and they're like, John, this is clearly not a phishing attempt. When the storms came through last week and we had a console go down and half the systems went out and IT was not called in to fix things. And I didn't like that because it's like IT gets paid a lot more than I do. And it's like, that makes sense. They're smarter than me. They can do a lot more than me. They all have masters or doctorates in computer technology. They all went to ITT Tech. right? They earn that. They go to ITC Tech. But one of their added benefits, not only aside from their huge salary, is not responding to anything that happens after 5 p.m. Because in the computer world, everything can wait till tomorrow. So I feel like if they're not going to respond to destroyed computers in an emergency, which I used to save lives, they could just go ahead and review all of my email. It's fine. Enjoy reading my email, suckers. D, good to see you here. I like seeing somebody who I don't see every week. I like military time. It makes sense to me. Thank you, D. You've made me feel not alone today. I got to tell you, I feel pretty alone today. I feel pretty wretched. Feel like an outsider. I don't know if you just got here, but we just went through a whole diatribe about how the person who loves me died 1,000 years ago. So, you know, at least knowing that there's someone out there that does military time with me, that helps. Did I detect jealousy? About you? No. How could I be jealous? Because Brian's not my soulmate. So I'm good. You can have Brian. He's not my soulmate. Will Craig, good to see you. Boy, did you walk in at a strange time. How was Montana? Are you back in Minnesota? Are you excited for the Vikings football season, which the Cowboys play the Vikings in December, so that will be fun. I'm not even taking the day off for it. I just put in for a whole bunch of time off, and none of it coincides with football games this year because I've already given up on the Cowboys for the season. What if instead of Big Mac, it was Big Matt? And he came out and said hello to you. What if you ordered a Big Matt and then this dude just comes out like, hey, I'm Big Matt? See, McDonald's needs to add a whole new dimension of regret to your visit. You already go and you remember you go because you have this great childhood memory of getting the Happy Meal and the little cookies and all that. You go and you get a quarter pounder with cheese, thinking this has got to be good. Well, first of all, when they tell you your total is $14.94, well, I regret this immediately. But you know, they always build the drive-through with the median there, so you can't, without driving over landscaping, you can't get away. So you're locked in. And even if they still, I don't know if they still do the 2-window system, but they used to take the money away from you and then still make you wait for the food, which I would rather get to the window and think like I fully regret this, cancel the order, have a good day, which I don't think would affect McDonald's very much because it's like they just sell a bunch of the same food anyway. But then you eat it and then you're like, well, this is kind of okay, I guess. And then you get halfway through and you give up the attempt to eat at McDonald's and then you feel like shit. And now there's a guy named Big Matt sitting in front of your car. Did you like your cheeseburger? No, Matt, get out of here. I've played this one before, but the memes were so light this week. I had such a hard time finding memes. There's something wrong with my algorithm. My algorithm tends to change. If I click on one thing that's different, it like completely resets my algorithm. So I need to kind of get back to weird memes. My buddy works at Area 51 told me Kung Fu Panda is real and they test medicines on him. A panda that can talk. If you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. So you wave, but then you realize that the abyss was actually gazing into someone else over your shoulder. So you feel awkward and try to pretend you were gazing into a different abyss, but really there's no other abyss. Here's the worst part about this. I mean, we can all relate, right? That abyss is always going to remember that you did that, right? You're always going to remember that time you gazed into the abyss and the abyss was gazing into someone else. And you tried to play it off like you were cool. But the abyss noticed. The abyss doesn't forget. Prisoner asks, what's for breakfast? The guard says, every meal is bread and water. The prisoner is a duck. Oh, baby. Another reason why ducks are the superior creature. They cannot be thwarted. Post-beach showers undefeated. Greatest feeling a human could experience. Throw a nap in there and you will never touch serenity so close. Drew hates the beach. Can you believe that, guys? He hates the beach. He lives in Florida and hates the beach. It's like me hating corn. What the hell? I love the beach. I love that feeling when you shower and you still get that beach smell and you're kind of refreshed and you're kind of all tuckered out from exercising and being in the sun all day. And then, yeah, you go home and nap and then you eat a whole pizza. You know what I mean? It's a good feeling. Did it hurt? When you fell from someone's butthole into toilet water, you piece of shit. I should have used that on my ex. That's a good one. Guys, why can't America... Oh, yeah, that's right. This is why we can't succeed, guys. Because your money, if you look at your paycheck, a good chunk of your money is going to pay for this. This utter non-adult, this utter semi-human person buying snacky snacks with their EBT. They don't have a job. They don't have to work. They weren't meant to work. Even though they look like they should be dragging a plow, they don't work. They just eat snack cakes and candy with your money. And that's why we'll never succeed. Because this is the face of compassion. When you have compassion for the less fortunate, this is what you do. Sorry, I know that you thought you were feeding a single mother who just, a teenage girl who got knocked up and her parents rejected her. And the man's not taking responsibility. And it's just her and her daughter out on the streets trying to get enough vitamins to nurse. Nope, it's this. Sorry. Guys, which version of bacon is the most perfect version? I like how like 3 of these are not even edible. If you're eating bacon from the left half of the screen, like you're going, just call insurance now and have them pre-approve an ER visit, and then go ahead and eat it. What are you doing? Maybe number 3 if you don't eat that last little bit. I'm hoping that's fat down there. But really it's 4, 5, or 6. And I'm happy with either one, but to be honest, I really like 5. It's crispier the less fat that's in it. So I say get it down to 5. If you've gone to 6, you don't need to throw it away. Just you're going to enjoy it less. You really can't whittle bacon, which is probably bacon's biggest drawback. Maple, he says, which he probably says in answer to everything. What kind of milkshake you want? Maple. What kind of coffee you want? Maple. What kind of car wash you want? Maple. They could at least produce milk. That's pretty brutal, Tyler. I like a sandy beach. We have a lot of rocky beaches around here. Yeah, that's because you're on the Pacific coast, right? I know a Big Nigel. Want to guess his nickname? I'm guessing it's Big Nigel. I'm back home in Minnesota for today. I'm home for the weekend and an extra few days. And then I'm off to Rapid City for a few days. Well, drive safe to Rapid City, buddy. Now's not a good time to be out there, by the way, because it's the Surges Motorcycle Rally. I don't know if you're aware. Nobody has commented on the bacon except to say maple. No. Yeah, I would not call him that. Big Nige? I'm sure that's what you meant. If you successfully use the handbrake to do a 360 during your driving test, then they give you a license with a gold border that can be used to drive forbidden cars. I never got this, as you can well imagine. I remember going for my driving test when I was 19 because I did not bother to get a license before that. I just drove illegally. I didn't give a fuck. I remember going as slow and as cautiously as I could, and then getting to the end, and my driver's test person says, well, a little fast and a little furious. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Are you joking? I guess she expected it to be even slower. Making conversation during a haircut. I've gotten better at that over the years, but I've also had the same person cutting my hair since probably 2013. So it's been like 12 years. This person's been cutting my hair. What do I have left to talk about? She asks me about my dog. She asks me if I've been to Chick-fil-A. She asks me if I have any work stories. And that's about it. I actually try to get her to talk. Are you taking any big trips? Do anything fun. She has a pet pig. So it's like, tell me about your life. Don't fucking make me talk. I should honestly just say, like, what if we tried not talking? Could you bear that? She probably could. I could bear it. I think she only talks because I think most people are uncomfortable with silence, but I'm not one of those people. When she goes in to do the mustache and I can't talk, I try to carry that out to silence from there. Let's do the mustache first so there's no talking. Depression is a scam invented by Costco to sell more hot dogs. I was depressed before I went to Costco. Here's a question for Drew. Could a vampire policeman enter my house if they had a warrant? This question has destroyed many of my friend groups. I'm gonna say no, because that person is a vampire all the time, even when they're not a policeman. And there's certain rules which apply to being a vampire, which means you cannot go into someone's house without being invited. And the reason for that is that it's a biblical principle and an objective truth that evil does not come into your life unless it is welcomed or wanted. You have to seek out evil in order for it to come to you. You have to make that mortal choice. To suggest that you can just be a victim of evil is to say that you have no moral value. You have to choose to embrace evil. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be killed or destroyed by evil, because you certainly can. The vampire could hit you with a car, right? Like, you could be destroyed by evil. You could be loaded up in a train and sent to a death camp. Okay, evil can kill you. But those people were not vanquished morally. They did not become vampires. They did not become compromised by evil. Okay, so all this to say that a vampire can have a warrant into your house, but he still has to ask you for permission to come in. That said, I think there's a lot of modern loopholes where, like, bring another cop with you. Don't serve a warrant by yourself just for safety reasons, even if you're an immortal vampire. Like, you just never know, right? Garlic, common household item. Many people are Christians, have easy access to crosses. A surprising number of Americans are Catholic and just carry around holy water for no reason. Many police officers work in the daytime, so there's like a job hazard there. But bring backup with you when you're serving a warrant, and then once the cop is inside, the cop can be like, "Hey, Dracula, what are you doing? Get in here. We're looking for evidence." And then because the cop has already gone inside with the permission of solely the warrant, he can then invite you inside using the authority of being a human police officer. So I think that pretty well solves it. We don't need Drew for everything around here. You've been visited by the Permit Crab. You can do one bad thing today. Thanks, Permit Crab. Cute little guy. The opening to this email is so hysterical that I am almost open to being swindled. This is another classic email that I would send off to IT, but I would send all of them to IT. You've been hacked. That's the name of the person that sent it to you. You'll notice that the icon for their name is YH, because it thinks that the sender is you've hacked. You have an outstanding payment is the subject line. Hello, pervert. I want to inform you. If someone's just addressing you as a pervert. And yet people fall for this shit. They feel bad. They're like, uh-oh, somebody found out that I was using a website I wasn't supposed to be using, and now I have an outstanding payment. I better pay up so that my family doesn't find out what a pervert I am. Why do you always want to change your life before you fall asleep, and then in the morning you wake up like, fuck that, LMAO. That's me. I always go to sleep with big ambitions, big ideas, and usually a big snack. Like, tomorrow's going to be a better day, and I wake up and I'm tired and I'm depressed. Like, right now, am I about to go to the gym? I can and I should. But I could also just sit here at home and enjoy the fact that it's a cloudy day. Or I could compromise and continue to edit this week's episode of Comm Center. All my ambitions, merely a joke. Only 90s kids are going to remember this. You guys remember this? Anything good happening? When was the last time anything objectively good happened? We don't even get good movies anymore. No good movies. In my view, scant few TV shows. The only good TV shows are the ones that they revived from the 90s, like King of the Hill. That just restarted. I haven't watched that yet, but that's probably good, right? That's from the 90s. Family Guy. I think that show started in 99, probably, right? It's from the 90s. The Simpsons. That's from the 80s, but, grew to its heights in the 90s. Everything that we're rebooting from the 90s. Just because nothing good has happened since then. Somebody made a comment earlier about IQ. Well, I think people's IQ should be presented but like the weather. Like somebody's actual IQ is 125, but it really feels like 97, right? Because they're stressed out, they're angry, they're emotional, they're in a hurry, whatever it is. And you can't tell you're talking to a smart person. You can't tell it's 75 because it's cloudy and windy, so it feels like 55. I think this is utterly true. So good job to Paola for figuring that out. A scholar, even though she's clearly got some sort of sexy I'm in bed picture here. She's a thinker. All right, another meme I should have put at the top of the show. Pick 2. What are we going to go with? I'm just going to strike grilled cheese right off the bat. A grilled cheese has its place. Rainy day with tomato soup, wintertime. But most of the time, once you're past the age of, I would say 18, adulthood, you really shouldn't be eating a grilled cheese anymore. At that point, you really should have some kind of protein in there. You should be upgraded to a ham melt and never go back. Breakfast burrito, utterly superior. I had a breakfast burrito earlier today. Eating breakfast burritos all the time. Burgers, huge. Chicken sandwich, very big, particularly spicy. Breakfast bagel. I like the breakfast bagel, but I do not like everything bagels, which is what's being presented here. A plain bagel with, fontina cheese, ham. That's very good. The taco, hard to beat. This looks very much like a Taco Bell taco. And so it doesn't really look like an authentic taco, but that is okay. Hot dogs, ordinarily I would never come out against hot dogs, but this summer that I've been living in the basement, I'm going to tell you right now, folks. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first. I'm over hot dogs. I'm done with them. For now, I've just eaten too many hot dogs. They're just too bad for you to eat as many as I've had this summer. Then there's the fish sandwich, which actually is only a phenomenon of Catholic people. The only reason why you can expect to find this at McDonald's is because they want to make sales during Lent. That said, the filet of fish sandwich or the fish sandwich is not bad. Gyro is near the top of the game. If you're going someplace that has authentic, top quality gyros, I myself consider gyros to be so rare that I'm always going to go with gyro. That doesn't include the Arby's gyro, or those are good. But if I can go to an authentic or authentic-ish Greek restaurant with gyros, that's where I'm going. So I'm going to go ahead and put gyros at the top, followed by the breakfast burrito, and then you enter in sort of the middle ground, where you could also be talking about breakfast bagels. The breakfast bagel has an advantage because it's a breakfast food, and then chicken sandwiches, burgers. They're all kind of on an even keel. They have to edge each other out through having different qualities. Like, is the mushrooms in the burger? Is the chicken sandwich spicy? Hopefully both of them have tomatoes. Basic taco kind of falls down by the wayside. And the grilled cheese and the hot dogs round out the bottom. But what do you think? What are people saying in the chats? How is that dog doing, Joni? Or me? Or John? I'm sorry, I thought it said Joni. Dana's fine. She's peeing inside the house a lot because she doesn't like living downstairs. So the whole house, in addition to being renovated, also smells like a big dog's toilet, except for my office. This is the only area that I've been able to keep the animals out of. So, I'm kind of living in a pit of despair, like a kind of a literal pit of despair right now. And the dog's adding to that, which is so it's kind of like damaging our relationship, which makes me sad because the dog's in the twilight of her life, and I'm gaining resentment for the dog. So it's actually a really terrible situation. Thanks for asking. Anyway, Tyler's always happy with a Costco dog at a pop for $1.50. You really can't beat that. Permit to do bad. Define bad. Yeah, no kidding. Pick two in what context? An American context. I don't know. Pick two to keep. The rest have to be vanquished from the timeline. I'm going to keep the breakfast burrito and the Euro. You know, is it weird to you guys that I picked the two sandwiches that are both based off of like a tortilla variant? They're not based off of buns like the rest are. With that in mind, I might have to throw one of these two overboard. I might have to go because as long as we have the breakfast burrito concept, we can reintroduce other burritos and tacos, I think, back to the timeline. So I'm gonna have to keep the chicken sandwich and the breakfast burrito, and hopefully we will just figure out Euros again at some point. Breakfast bagel is delicious, and so is Euro. Pick two to keep forever. Sorry, Tyler. It's always, we got to remember, it's always the harder choice. It's not pick two to get rid of. It's pick two to keep, or pick two, for the rest of your life. Whatever the hard choice is. Because two of these to eliminate, would be easy. Eliminate the Taco Bell taco and eliminate the grilled cheese, or eliminate the hot dog, or whatever. I mean, those aren't, Costco hot dogs are in another class. Yeah, except they take advantage of the fact that you're hungry when you're at Costco and you just bought a whole huge box of things that you can't just dig into in the car. Oh, what we're keeping? B and C, Foxy says breakfast burritos and burgers. That's a fair choice. Final meme of the day. Sorry I didn't remember your name, but I was hoping I'd never see you again. That's happened to me quite a bit. People say they forgot my name. You guys have already heard my how to make people remember your name bit. Haven't you? I'm sure that you have. I'll sell things now because, I'm a shill, if nothing else. There's a bunch of new comm center stuff. So I put up our classic blue and gold logo on some products here. We actually had a consultant that told us to get rid of this logo because they said it looks like you support Ukraine. Well, right when we started this consultation with our guy, probably 12, 13 months ago, it was a little over a year ago. He saw our logo, and that was a time where everyone was making their profile pictures gold and blue to signify solidarity with Ukraine. And he saw ours, and we're like, well, no, it's because of the thin gold line dispatchers and the thin blue line police. So it's like, anyone in our field is going to understand that. He's like, yeah, but if you're going for like, most people, they're not going to get it. Just looks like you support Ukraine. And I talked to Drew, and we both said in unison, well, fuck Ukraine. So that's why our primary logo is actually 2 tones of gold now, because Drew was technically a 911 dispatcher. So you can get that in a mug. Here's the best part about the back of the mug. Right. It kind of has our old logo there, but scrubbed out to save us from being sued. I don't know. Maybe nobody thinks that's clever or funny, but I liked it. You kind of make it so that it's been wiped off. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe I hope that's not viewed as insulting. It's just it's respecting our roots and where we came from, because this is kind of the logo that we used at that time. So it's the FTS logo. And you can get this on t-shirts and stuff. And then I made these, they look just like the cans of the Reign energy drinks. And these are designed to appeal to dispatchers who are drinking energy drinks a lot, although I know regular humans also drink them too. But I don't think there's been any interest in these. So if you want them, this is your chance to get them, because I think I'm going to be discontinuing those soon, because I just think that they have failed to inspire anyone. And then, of course, variants on a Sunday classic. You can go out and get your God's Chicken closed on Sunday T-shirt, and you can get that in a few colors for your lady friends. Of course, gold, just because you have to be able to get it in gold, but different shades of red. Just one thing that our catalog was definitely missing was anything that in the color red. And I remember we did I used to do a lot more advertising on Instagram for the show, and at one point I did kind of a Chick-fil-A based some kind of ad because I like Chick-fil-A so much. But you can also get the mug. You can also get that in red. So go ahead and do that, or you can get it in black. I think that's cool. I'm the only one that does. I get it. But go ahead and get that. And then, of course, we still have all the stuff that we normally have, all the sublimated graphic stuff, the console logo, the Law and Order logo, and some stickers. But in reference to merch, you need to know that there's been some sort of disaster. As I was talking to both Tyler and Shorty Rides, and they both say that their shipment of merchandise that they placed probably back in May is only now being shipped to them from Poland. So I was made to understand shipping would happen from the United States, or it would happen from India for people who live in Australia. But some of the systems collapsed, right? Probably because I was like, they could handle only so many people and not one more. And I was the one more person that collapsed the system. So when I joined Teespring, I ruined everything. And so now everyone's merch is coming from Poland. And that's good that I guess it's still happening. But it's super frustrating because, ideally, you would not still be waiting. I encourage you guys, if you do order something or if you have a pending order, do bother them. They need to know that their customers are not happy. And you need to tell them, look, I would have bought more merchandise, but I'm still waiting for the old stuff because they actually do want you to spend money there. So if you were going to drop a single comment when you go to complain about them, just say like, I would have bought more merch by now, but I didn't receive the merch that I bought in May. Let them know that they're missing out on sales. The only way that they can know that you guys are dissatisfied and that they actually need to change things is through complaints. I know that you guys are a bunch of good guys and you don't want to be jerks, and you probably see the people who work at Teespring as being some kind of analog to yourself, a regular human being who's just doing the best job they can. Well, there's also people at the top, possible Trump-like figures who are able to make deals and cut deals and expedite deals, and they're not doing what they need to do. So issue your complaints, be kind, be courteous, but complain. And let Teespring know that you are not happy with the service that they're providing. Remember, you paid for this. You sent them money, and they took the money right away. It wasn't one of these payment on delivery things. Otherwise, I say, whatever. Let them wait for their money. But they took your money already. They already have your money. They're probably not going to make a refund easy for you. So if they already have your money, you need to throw a goddamn fit about where your shit is. I think that's okay. Like I said, don't be rude. Don't call anyone names. Don't call them up and yell at them because it's just some guy that can't control that. But you absolutely should complain and let them know that you're not happy with what the service is that you're getting. That's okay. You gave them money and they're using it right now, interest free, right? If you didn't make an investment, as the company grows, you're not going to see dividends pay off from that until they send all of you guys all of your products. What they have done is they have played you all for chumps, and I am not okay with that. They took all your money, they gave you nothing in return, and they're using that money for their own benefit. They've paid their own employees, they've paid themselves, they're doing everything that they're doing, but they're not delivering. So if they fail to deliver a product, in what sense are they a t-shirt company? Do you see what I am saying? Don't get me wrong, I'm as patient as the next guy, but if you ordered a t-shirt in May and it is now August, the time to complain is now. The time to riot is now. Not literally in the streets, but riot in the forms of polite email. I want to say that again, just so I'm not taken out of context, that all of your rage should be directed in a courteous message. this was my fucking nightmare. We need to reevaluate. Yeah, do you see this is the problem, right? Like we have long since wanted to get into the merch game, and Drew never wanted to get into it because he didn't want us to be fielding complaints about our merchandise supplier. And look what happened. Look what happened. You know, you guys all wanted merch, and we're like, no, we're not going to do merch because it's going to be a nightmare. People are going to complain. The consultant was actually Ukrainian. That made it all the more awkward when we both said to him, fuck Ukraine. Anyway, so do let them know that you want that. Do push back. The only way that we are going to get them to move is through some kinds of demands. I ordered in June, not May. Oh, okay. You're right. Waiting from June to August is totally reasonable. No. Come on. Use Sunday Cool for the shirts. Is that what I should call them? Sunday Cool instead of closed on Sunday? Shame bunker branding won't take small YouTubers. Well, we're hoping to become bigger, guys. We're close to 10,000. Sticker Mule may be the way to go, but it doesn't integrate with YouTube. That's the sad thing, Drew, is that, yeah, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do another website. And there's nothing wrong with our website, but we're never going to drive sales for merch by having a third-party website or another website or even doing it through our website. The people who interact with Com Center are doing it through YouTube. So I don't want to create some of the thing. By the way, John, not complaining, just updating. That's my whole goddamn point. Start complaining. Are you listening? I understand you're not complaining to me, but you need to complain to them. I'm telling him to complain. God damn it. I swear to God, I'm going to pull this podcast over. I'm telling you to complain. Tell Teespring you're not happy. Tell them you know what you should do? And I don't mind this because I haven't taken any payouts. Tell them you want your money back. They haven't delivered. So they can tell you, oh, well, you can't have your money back because, it's in our terms and agreements that we don't do refunds on anything that's custom because they don't want to lose out on printing one t-shirt at a time. I understand that it is a business model. However, as I said before, they are not a business if they do not give you something that you have paid for. And there's always an exception to everything, and there's always a higher person in the food chain to talk to. So do not go in there full blast. Do not come on there red hot at 212 degrees when you call. Be calm, courteous, and polite until you're about at the third person. Be absolutely nice to the first person who answers the phone. Do your best. Just say, listen, Amanda, I'm going to be honest with you. I've got big complaints today, and I think they're bigger complaints than you deserve to hear because you are a nice person, and the problems that I have aren't your fault, Amanda. They're the fault of bigger, more powerful people that cut your paycheck. They're getting both of us. And so it is for that reason that although I know you are a gatekeeper to keep me away from your boss, that you are the dog in the yard of your boss's house, I would like you to just go ahead and let me by and let me talk to your boss right away. Now you're at level 2. Now you can start getting a little pushy. What the hell is this? Is this a fly-by-night game? Where's my stuff? I either need my money back or I need a t-shirt. This is not acceptable. And then they'll do one of two things. They'll either explain to you what the problem is, like, look, there was an earthquake. There was an earthquake in India, and over 100 million people died, and many of them were our good factory workers. And to save the company, we're just bulldozing the factory, and we're not paying any death benefits to the family. And you say, okay, good. I understand you're making good business decisions. And then that will help you understand that your t-shirt has to come from Poland. Okay, but you need to know what's going on. Them just not communicating with you, them being silent to you, them not explaining what's happening, that's not acceptable. And then if you're still not happy with hearing that 100,000 people have died in India and the death benefits are not being paid to their family, That's when you say, I want to talk to your boss, and just keep pushing and keep calling back. Because right now they're dealing with a bunch of compliant and happy and easygoing and relaxed and patient Americans, and it's not making them do anything. And the blowback from that is that it comes to me, and you guys are being cool with me, but I don't like hearing that my fans aren't getting their shit. I want you to have your shit. I want you to be on Instagram throwing gang signs and wearing Comm Center shirts. All right. Ricardo John, get to those 10,000. I politely emailed about my missing order, and I was told it was canceled arbitrarily, and I was politely invited to invite again, or order again. Nice. I'm glad that it was canceled for no reason. Here's the thing, Drew, just to clarify, I do know several people who have gotten their stuff. Felony Melanie's gotten their stuff. Jenny's gotten her stuff. There are people who have ordered from Teespring and have already had their orders fulfilled. That's part of the reason why it's frustrating, because some people got their stuff before the factory in India blew up, and some people did not. So some people did get their stuff fulfilled. It has happened. I know that the hard time stuff that I've ordered, that other people have ordered, has been fulfilled. So some people are getting their stuff. I don't know about any of the failure to stop stuff. I don't know if even one person's gotten any of their shit that they've ordered. Not followed up with that. They like crypto, you give them the money and maybe you'll get something back. I 100% got charged. They have my money converted to Yankee, and it cost $35 more bucks for the conversion. So now I got to spend even more money calling Poland. They got us, gang. Look, they outwitted us. It was easy. But do let them know. Do send them an email. Do send them a reply. Do log in. Let them know that you're not happy. And do that on my behalf, because there's very little I can do. I cannot really reach out to them and let them know that all of my people who bought my stuff are not happy. The only thing I could hypothetically do is cash out the amount of money that's in there, and then leave everyone holding the bag. I guess I'm not interested in doing that. So thanks to everyone who watched the show today. I'm sorry that I was not at the top of my game. That's what I get for taking a week off. I assure you it will never, ever, ever happen again. We will be back here tonight on Comm Center. It's going to be a great episode. It's the interrogation of Wendy Adelson. This is possibly going to be the peak of the series, if I'm honest, because so many people who are focused on the Donna Adelson investigation believe that Wendy did it. And having Drew break down the investigation or the interrogation as a trained interrogator is probably us flexing our muscle the most. Because we'll talk about Charlie's trial, and we'll talk about Donna getting arrested, and we'll have a good laugh. But I think this is going to be the peak. So wish us luck. Our last episode, like Drew's mentioned, hit 12,000 views. That's spectacular. Let's keep just wish us luck, because it's like, we kind of have to double down and keep rolling and keep winning the jackpot if we're going to get to 10,000. And if we can get to 10,000, hypothetically, I'm told our lives get a lot easier. So cross your fingers for us. Wish us good luck. Share the show, I guess. Maybe tell your Aunt Sally. I don't know. We used to tell people to do that. So, but otherwise, we will catch you back here next week. I intend to do the show on Mondays going forward. I might move them to Fridays at some point. Either way, you possibly won't be here, and you'll possibly still be informed. But thanks for spending your Tuesday morning with me. And I'll catch you all next time. Shout out to Shorty Rides, who always waits for the Marvel-esque post-credit scene.